In a world dominated by artificial intelligence, algorithmic predictions, and systems built to optimize our every decision, from what we eat to who we date, the idea of freedom of choice may seem like a fading dream. We scroll through curated feeds, tap to accept recommendations, and nod along to what the system says is best for us. But in this dizzying digital age of 2025, a single question rises with haunting clarity. Are we truly free? Welcome to a philosophical exploration through the lens of Jean-Paul Sartre, the 20th century French philosopher who proclaimed that existence precedes essence, and that we are condemned to be free. In this video, we're not just looking back to Sartre's words, we're bringing them face to face with the complex choices we make in the now. In a year where the lines between autonomy and automation blur more than ever before. Sartre believed that freedom isn't a privilege, but a burden, a responsibility we cannot escape. To choose is to define ourselves. And yet today, many of us feel like mere extensions of the systems around us, overwhelmed, uncertain, or even paralyzed by the endless choices we are offered but may not truly make. From the pressure to craft the perfect online identity to navigating ethical dilemmas in a climate-altered world, the illusion of free will can often feel more suffocating than liberating. But Sartre would urge us to wake up, to take ownership of our choices, even when society offers us preset paths. He would warn us against bad faith, the act of lying to ourselves to avoid responsibility. Whether it's blaming the algorithm, the economy, or our upbringing, Sartre challenges us to confront the uncomfortable truth. We are what we choose, no more, no less. So in 2025, when a job switch might be dictated by LinkedIn prompts, when dating apps claim to know our type, when news feeds bend our perception of reality, what does it really mean to choose freely? Are we victims of the world, or the authors of our existence? In this video, we'll explore Sartre's most provocative ideas and how they intersect with our modern dilemmas. From the ethics of AI to the concept of radical responsibility, from political disengagement to existential anxiety, this is a journey into the heart of what it means to be human, now. Because if Sartre was right, and freedom is both our curse and our salvation, then maybe, just maybe, the question is not whether we are free, but whether we are ready to be. The future is not pre-written, it's being chosen now. There is a comforting myth many of us carry deep inside, that the future is already written. That our destinies are sealed by fate, genetics, social systems, or divine plans. But what if this idea is not only false, but dangerous? What if, by believing the future is fixed, we unknowingly surrender our greatest power, the freedom to shape it? The truth is, the future is not a story waiting to be read. It's a story waiting to be written, word by word, moment by moment, decision by decision. And that writing happens now, in real time, with each choice we make. Jean-Paul Sartre, the existentialist philosopher, fiercely believed in the radical freedom of the individual. According to Sartre, we are not born with a purpose, we create it. Our lives are blank pages until we begin to write on them with action. In his view, every person is responsible not just for their own existence, but for the human condition as a whole. That's a heavy truth, but also an empowering one, because it means we are never trapped. The future isn't sealed. It's open. In 2025, this idea has become both more urgent and more challenging. Technology, artificial intelligence, climate change, political polarization, all of these massive forces can make the future feel beyond our control. We're told that automation will replace jobs, that democracy is dying, that the planet is past the point of no return. But while these are real and serious issues, surrendering to despair is a form of passive fatalism. Sartre would call it bad faith, lying to ourselves to avoid the burden of acting. The future is not determined by systems alone. It's determined by the actions of individuals within those systems. Every protester who stands up for justice, every coder who writes ethical algorithms, every teacher who inspires critical thinking, every artist who challenges the norm, they are shaping what comes next. The future isn't waiting for someone else to make it. It is being chosen right now, by us. Even in our personal lives, the same truth applies. We are not victims of our past or prisoners of our present. We may not control every circumstance, but we always have the power to respond, to change direction, to choose courage over fear, authenticity over conformity, growth over comfort. The smallest decision, a conversation, a kindness, a refusal to give in, can ripple outward in ways we'll never fully know. So let us reject the myth of a pre-written fate. Let us claim the pen in our own hands. The future is not something we wait for, it's something we co-create. And while we may not always know what comes next, we can be sure of this. The future is not fixed, not final, and not out of reach. It is alive, and it is being chosen now. Existential freedom still exists, but it's buried under algorithms. In the modern digital age, the concept of existential freedom seems increasingly difficult to grasp. With algorithms predicting our preferences, curating our news feeds, recommending our purchases, and even influencing our relationships, the idea that we are truly free may appear outdated, even naive. Yet, from a Sartrean perspective, existential freedom not only still exists, it is more critical than ever. It's just become harder to recognize, hidden beneath the smooth, invisible logic of code. Jean-Paul Sartre famously declared that humans are condemned to be free, a statement that highlights the inherent burden of freedom. For Sartre, we are not defined by our nature, roles, or societal labels. Instead, we define ourselves through our actions and choices. There is no escape from this responsibility. Even refusing to choose is a choice. And yet, in 2025, many of our decisions seem to be made for us. Want to watch a movie? The streaming platform recommends exactly what you're most likely to enjoy. Shopping online? An AI engine filters your options based on your previous clicks. Looking for a partner? Dating apps use swipes and geolocation to calculate your perfect match. At first glance, this convenience appears to enhance freedom, giving us more personalized experiences and saving us time. But in reality, it often reduces freedom to a comfortable illusion of choice. This is where Sartre's concept of bad faith becomes especially relevant. In bad faith, we lie to ourselves to avoid the anxiety that comes with true freedom. We pretend we are simply following orders, or doing what everyone else does. In 2025, the algorithm becomes the new excuse. It recommended this to me, so I chose it. But in Sartrean terms, this is self-deception. The algorithm didn't force us. It merely suggested. We clicked. We bought. We followed. And in doing so, we participated. Willingly or passively, in the act of shaping who we are. The danger is not that freedom has disappeared, but that it has become invisible. When decisions are automated and options are filtered before we ever see them, we lose awareness of our own agency. We no longer ask, why do I want this? Who am I becoming through this choice? Instead, we live on autopilot, mistaking ease for authenticity. But existential freedom still exists, beneath the noise, beneath the digital scaffolding. It exists in every moment when we stop, reflect, and resist the default. It exists in the power to say no to the suggestion, to unplug, to question, to choose deliberately. The real challenge, then, is not reclaiming freedom. We never lost it. The challenge is remembering that no algorithm can ever make us who we are. Only we can do that. And in 2025, reclaiming that truth may be the most radical act of all. Bad faith in the digital age. Blaming the system is a modern escape. In an era where artificial intelligence curates our experiences, social media shapes our identities, and convenience is king, the idea of personal responsibility is quietly slipping through our fingers. We blame algorithms for our addictions, corporations for our moral fatigue, and society for our lack of direction. But as Jean-Paul Sartre might say, this is not just a product of our times, it's a modern form of bad faith. In Sartrean philosophy, bad faith is the act of self-deception, of lying to ourselves in order to avoid the terrifying weight of freedom. And in the digital age, blaming the system has become one of the most common, and most comfortable, escapes. Sartre believed that humans are radically free. We are not born with a purpose. Instead, we create ourselves through our choices. But this kind of freedom is heavy. It means that even in a world full of external pressures, we are still responsible for who we become. That responsibility can be uncomfortable, especially in a time like 2025, when systems are everywhere. The digital world gives us constant reasons to say, "It's not my fault. The algorithm made me do it. The system is rigged." While these sentiments often hold truth, they can also serve as convenient shields, barriers we build to avoid the anxiety of choosing and acting with intention. Take social media, for example. It's easy to say that platforms manipulate us, keep us hooked, and erode our attention spans. All true, but Sartre would ask, why do you still log in? What are you avoiding by surrendering your time to the feed? We choose to click, to scroll, to follow. When we act as if we're powerless in the face of these platforms, we participate in bad faith, denying our agency and pretending we are mere victims of a machine we continually feed. This dynamic extends into politics, consumerism, and even personal relationships. Many people today claim, "There's no point in voting, the system is broken," or "There are no good choices left in life." But again, Sartre would challenge us, is that truth, or is it comfort? Because if we admit we still have power, then we also admit we're responsible for our inaction. And that's far scarier than blaming the system. To live authentically in the digital age is to resist the temptation of bad faith. It means reclaiming responsibility, even when the world is noisy, complex, and overwhelming. It means owning our clicks, our purchases, our silence, our engagement. The system may be flawed, even oppressive at times. But surrendering our freedom to it is not rebellion, it's resignation. In the end, Sartre reminds us that the greatest act of freedom is to choose, even in the face of a world that urges us not to. And in doing so, we take back the authorship of our lives. From the system, and from the comforting lies we tell ourselves.
Identity is a choice, not a fixed algorithmic outcome. In the age of data-driven personalization, your identity might seem like something that can be neatly packaged and predicted. From Spotify playlists that know your vibe, to social media feeds that tailor your worldview, algorithms claim to understand us better than we understand ourselves. But here's the catch: these systems aren't revealing who you are, they're reinforcing patterns based on what you've already done. And that's a dangerously limited view of the self. According to existentialist philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre, identity isn't something we discover, it's something we create, moment by moment, through our choices. This idea is especially important in 2025, when most of us interact daily with systems that try to define us. Our online behavior is tracked, analyzed, and predicted. Buy one book on climate change, and suddenly you're an environmentalist in the eyes of an algorithm. Like a few videos on mental health, and the internet decides you're on a healing journey. But identity isn't something an app or AI can define. It's not static, and it's not just history. Sartre argued that human beings are not born with a fixed essence. We exist first, and only then do we shape what we become. That means you are never permanently labeled, categorized, or defined. You are in a constant state of becoming. The danger today is that algorithms offer us a false sense of certainty. They reduce identity to habits. They feed us more of what we already like, closing the loop on growth and change. And if we start to believe in that version of ourselves, the digital reflection, we risk falling into what Sartre called bad faith, denying our freedom by pretending we're something fixed, predictable, or passive. That's just who I am. Becomes an excuse to stay stagnant, to avoid change, to dodge responsibility for becoming more. But the truth is, you are not your feed. You are not your follower count. You are not your shopping history. Identity, in its truest sense, is fluid, evolving, and under your control. Every time you make a choice that breaks a pattern, you try a new idea, challenge a belief, walk away from an old role, you are declaring your freedom to redefine yourself. That is your power. So in this world of digital certainty, choosing to be uncertain, to explore, to change, to grow, is the most radical act of identity. Who you are today doesn't have to be who you are tomorrow. You are not trapped in your data trail. You are free to rewrite the script. Because identity isn't a box you check. It's a story you tell, and retell, with every brave, intentional choice you make.
Freedom includes the responsibility to resist comfort. In a world increasingly engineered for convenience, the true weight of freedom often gets lost beneath the cushions of comfort. We live in an era where food can be delivered without leaving our beds, decisions can be made through simple swipes, and digital assistants can finish our sentences before we even begin. Yet, as comforting as this modern life may seem, freedom, in its deepest philosophical sense, demands something more than ease. It demands the courage to resist the seduction of comfort and to choose growth over stagnation, meaning over numbness. To be free, as existential philosophers like Jean-Paul Sartre argued, is not merely to have options. It is to face the terrifying truth that every choice we make defines us. Freedom is not passive, it is active. It is not indulgent, it is responsible. And responsibility is rarely comfortable. True freedom means being willing to ask hard questions, to step outside the familiar, to challenge what is easy, and in doing so, to confront ourselves. Comfort, by contrast, is a refuge, often a necessary one, but when it becomes a lifestyle, it dulls our sense of agency. It tells us, stay where you are, don't question too much, avoid the risk, accept what is given. And when we live in comfort long enough, we may forget we ever had a choice. We start to believe the system knows best, the routine is sacred, and change is dangerous. But this is the illusion Sartre warned about, the trap of bad faith, where we convince ourselves that we are not truly free, just to avoid the weight of being responsible for our lives. To resist comfort is not to reject pleasure or rest. Rather, it is to refuse to let ease dictate our direction. It means embracing discomfort when it leads to growth. Whether that's having difficult conversations, leaving a toxic environment, or choosing the less popular path because it aligns with our values. It means pushing against the current when we know the current is wrong. It's in those uncomfortable moments that freedom becomes real, when we consciously act, not out of habit or fear, but from clarity and intention. In 2025, where algorithms know our tastes and technology predicts our needs, the ability to resist comfort becomes more important than ever. The system will always tempt us with convenience, distraction, and the illusion of certainty. But freedom lives in the cracks, in the moments we say no to what's easy and yes to what's meaningful, even if it hurts. Ultimately, freedom without resistance is hollow. It is in the act of choosing discomfort for the sake of truth, purpose, and authenticity that freedom reveals its true power. Because in the end, the most liberated life is not the most comfortable one, but the one most courageously lived. So here we are, at the edge of Sartre's philosophy, and right in the middle of our own modern maze of choices. In 2025, freedom isn't just the ability to do what we want. It's the haunting demand to define ourselves constantly, with no escape from that burden. Freedom, as Sartre saw it, isn't freedom from something, it's freedom to become something. And that, he argued, is what terrifies us the most. The world today may offer more options than ever before, but it also offers more ways to avoid the weight of choosing. We can hide behind statistics. We can defer to the group. We can say, the algorithm knows best. But deep inside, we know these are only crutches. Because with every swipe, click, and decision, big or small, we are shaping the person we are becoming. In a Sartrean world, there is no cosmic script, no divine map, no final verdict waiting for us. We are not born with purpose, we choose it. And in 2025, that truth can feel exhilarating or exhausting. We are told to be authentic, original, and self-made, but we are also drowning in expectations. Sartre wouldn't tell us to escape that paradox. He would tell us to own it. What does that mean in practice? It means refusing to live on autopilot, even when convenience tempts us. It means questioning the roles we play, even if those roles feel comfortable. It means taking radical responsibility for our own meaning, even in a world that tries to hand it to us prepackaged. But it also means freedom is never just a theory. It's something lived. It's in how we love, how we vote, how we dream, and how we respond when life throws us into the unknown. Freedom is messy. It doesn't come with guarantees. But it does come with possibility. And that's where Sartre offers us a strange kind of hope. Not the soft comfort of certainty, but the fierce fire of choice. A fire that says, you are not your past. You are not your label. You are not your algorithm. You are not your fear. You are, in every moment, free to choose again. In 2025, that might be the most revolutionary idea of all. So what will you do with your freedom? Will you write your own story, or let the world write it for you? Sartre says the pen is already in your hand. Now it's up to you. If this video sparks something in you, a question, a discomfort, a fire, don't let it fade. Let it lead you deeper into the philosophical questions that shape our lives. Like, comment, and share if you believe that freedom, though terrifying, is still worth fighting for. Because in the end, the future isn't written by fate. It's written by the free. Watch next. Nietzsche's Will to Power in the Age of AI. Bell subscribe for more existential deep dives every week. Speech Balloon comment below. What's the hardest choice you've ever made? And how did it define you?